called shakeout. Does anybody know what that one is? Okay, yeah. Got a shower now. Okay.
You should spread out a little bit more.
So how this works is you shake each limb one at a time. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next limb, foot, and then you do it again, only to 9, and then you count down to 1. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. From here, I just want to bring up the safe space conversation that happened yesterday, and just reiterate that this is a conversation that's ongoing. There's nothing that's like one concrete answer to fix this. So if y'all feel really passionately about talking about this, please do. And take time and free time or whatever, or bring it into workshops, and keep this safe space idea going.
So we're here to talk a little bit about consent.
And what that means and how you can use consent to create a happier, healthier, safer community for each other and to make interactions appropriate.
So consent is the idea that people have personal autonomy, and we have a need to respect everyone else's personal autonomy. And what it's often taken as is in a intimate, physical, possibly sexual relationship context. But I think there's something really important to say that consent extends far beyond just touchy-feely, wah-wah-wee-wah crap into a whole bunch of other aspects of people's lives. We kind of wanted to run through a few different scenarios. Let's start off with a good one.
Hey, Ducky, I haven't seen you in a long ass minute. Can I give you a hug?
Absolutely! I would love a hug! This is a maybe not so good form of consent. Hey, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Is this okay?
So can everybody remember, this is empowering and that's disempowering. This is violent and that's non-violent. Is driving a car non-violent or is it violent?
You guys might want to move back.
Yeah, and we're gonna spread out a little bit so you have some more room.
Okay. Hi, Naomi. I placed myself more towards the violent end for a bunch of reasons, but one being statistically, like, the harm that can be caused, physical bodily harm, like, it's so likely when you're driving a vehicle.
So, how do you feel about riding a bike? Where would you place yourself? Empowering and violent are right here.
I'm DJ. I think it's really cool, when you have the ability to ride a bike, you can get away from like fossil fuels and everything. But there's also, the way we've got our roads and everything set up now, it's also really intimidating to be a biker on the road. And so it's that kind of put me in between empowering because you can get away from the fossil fuels and everything, but disempowered just because you do feel a little more insecure on the bike sometimes.
I think able-bodiedness is something to consider with riding a bike. There are definitely bikes that accommodate people who might not have use of their legs or their arms or something, but at the same time, there are people who probably just can't use a bike at all.
Empowering is by Kim. You are empowering. Yeah. I was wondering, does anybody feel like there was a moment where your perspective really shifted when folks were explaining their stance?
I still don't really care too much about Walmart and their property, but I do think it's important to recognize that workers might feel alienated by a movement if it was attacking their workplace.
So much of the time it's not necessarily the act itself but the greater context, and breaking that window for a lot of people it may not change, but for most of us, like, if the workers are involved in the campaign, that makes a really big difference.
We're creating a definition of direct action as a group.
Right, it sends a message to the target in your campaign that you're running if it is part of a larger campaign.
I would suggest dumpster diving is a direct action, and I would also suggest that self-cultivation is a nonviolent direct action, and neither of those have to be advertised, and one of them doesn't have to be involving motion.
So what we're gonna do a little bit of active listening and some honest conversation. I'm gonna ask whoever is closest to the building is going to speak first. You're gonna speak for 2 minutes. What is your fears about doing direct action? What are you scared about when it comes to direct action? And I want you to speak honestly to the other person for 2 minutes. The person listening, we don't want you to talk, we don't want you to respond. You can shake your head, you can nod, you can do twinkle fingers if you know what those are and like them.
Would be the fact that we alienate people by a direct action. That we, that my opinions and the way I present them to somebody else may show more as anger than it does as truth. And so that when I go to someone and I do a direct action, I'm actually alienating them.
I guess I'm not too scared about like violence, reciprocal violence back, because it seems like a lot of it's just picketing and chanting and things that aren't really opposed very strongly in any kind of violent forms here in America.
It's a bigger fear for you that your actions aren't going to make a difference.
I think that going off of that, it's that I want it to happen so bad that the fear of it not actually changing is just, would be terrible. But it's not going to keep me from trying to do it.
Fear of disappointment.
Yeah.
These are the possible charges. You can spread down this way. Yeah.
How are we doing? So everybody grab the hand of the person across from you. So what you're gonna do now is you need to get the person on your side of the line. If this is a line in the middle, so how did you do it?
Both hands.
Low center of gravity. So when you're thinking about things like that strategically, like within campaigns and with actions and with everything you do, one of the things about that is like, oh, we're trying to get more people on our side, come to our side, fight with us. And how we do that is often unconsciously by pulling, by yanking, right? By like, oh, come over here, this is bad. It's bad. And instead, if we're having conversations, then like we can break that down a little and be like, hey, maybe we could switch sides so that, you know, does that make sense? This side is going to be a group of protesters, right? You guys are at a protest. I'm looking at this. You're at like the state capitol, say. You're going to do an action, okay? You, on this side, are legislators who are there. You're trying to get your work done. You're trying to like have your coffee, have your meetings, do your business. How did that feel? Like, how did those interactions feel for protesters?
Felt awkward, like, what do I say there?
I have no idea what motivates the legislature, so they do such evil things. It's like I have no idea what they're thinking, so I really couldn't put myself there.
It's like police officers or like employees. So like I was like, oh, what do I really want from you? I've never been in that place to ask for it before.
You all are going to be the protesters. You are doing a sit-in. So if you want to sit down. This side, you are going to be the police.
Alright, you need
Okay, let's start with protesters. How did it feel?
My police officer started acting like they were spraying me. And so I was thinking I would not feel so powerful in that situation.
It was really hard to try to like toe the line between being respectful to them but still standing up for my own position.
I was telling blatant lies about how like this would affect their education.
Oh man.
He asked me if I had a son or a daughter, and like, well, they have to pay college loans.
And I think something that's definitely important to remember is who are you facing off against? And understanding that like sometimes it is best to be silent, sometimes it's best to talk to people. And understanding that different people are in different positions. And like particularly, and like they have different motivations. A lot of times with cops, like one of the biggest things that's pulling is power, because they're used to having power, so that dynamic is often really strong. And so like in those situations, a lot of times your body position is really important, and if you like have like a really menacing sort of look, or if your hands are somewhere they can't see them, that makes them more scared of you. And then understanding that the dynamic that you're facing with the worker is obviously different, and while some of those concerns are the same, different situations tend to highlight different issues more. And trying to really think about before you go into an action, you know, who do you think you're going to face? And who do you really want to prepare for, and how do you think is the best way to go about that?
And also think about how they see you. Because in a lot of times when you're talking about de-escalating with someone, your physical appearance and who they see you at matters, right? Yeah. If you're a big, tall person who's very big, and then you end up talking to a little person, like realizing you instantly have that. Or if you're a very small person talking to a bigger person, like realizing that physical appearance of how they see you and who they think you are matters a lot.
Hey folks, so today's March 11th. It's the first full day of the camp. I just showed you two teach-ins, part 1 and part 2 of nonviolence direct action trainings. And yeah, there's about 12 trainings going on today. 6 have already occurred. So yeah, there's about 3 going on at any given time if we're not eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So the week's gonna be full of teach-ins like this, ranging on all kinds of topics, including tree climbing, things like that. You know, all sort of activist related. So we'll have a week of that, and I believe there is going to be a direct action scheduled at some point during this week. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar with what I'm doing right now, I've been on a road trip for the past 5 days, and I'm attempting to do a vlog, that is a video blog, every day of the trip. Of the 5 days I've been on the road, I've already missed 2 days, especially the biggest problem being that there's no Wi-Fi here at the camp, so I've got to go out and search for some. Hopefully I'll be able to get up a couple video blogs retroactively today. So I'll be posting those on the Eye on the Ground YouTube channel. You can also follow this blog, eyeontheground.tv. And yeah, so that's March 11th. I'll see you tomorrow, folks, for March 12th. Take care.